We went about 30 miles an hour the whole trip. It took us about 12 hours to get there.
That ice is dangerous. It is.
Well,
And especially the black ice. Like it's the ice you can see, you can kind of like, whatever. But the black ice is really very terrifying. It can be, and like I was saying earlier, having an accident, especially if it is icy or whatever, and it's cold, and you are in minus 40 Celsius, which is essentially the same as minus 40 Fahrenheit, there's not a lot of give. Like you don't want bad things to happen when it's that cold. Um, because if something happens, you're really risking it due to weather conditions, right? Like something that might have not been a big deal in the summer is a very big deal when it's minus 40 as an extra,
I'm not,
hurdle of surviving, right?
well, Julie, do you remember the story from Alex about his dad and the Tesla in North Dakota
Oh,
in the winter?
yes. From what I remember, so the story goes is that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I know he was driving with his vehicle or whatever, and he had a Tesla, and somehow he got like stuck in his Tesla during the
He
winter.
he slid off the highway into a snowbank. The t and he's like, okay, this is fine. I can just run the heater to stay warm while I wait for a tow truck. But you're in North Dakota in the winter. It's like being in Canada in the winter. How long is it going to take in a snowstorm for a tow truck to come and pick you up? In Canada, we'll wait 2 days, 3 days, 4 days for that storm to be over and the hundreds of cars that have to be towed off the road. So what happened? Um, David Rittenauer knows Alex from he's from a different group, but anyway, um, the battery died on that Tesla. He could not escape. He had to break the window to escape because that's what I don't know if it was just he was like after that experience, never driving an electric car again. And I was like, okay, that makes okay. Okay. I was like, I've not been trapped. I've hit the ditch and waited hours upon hours for some drunk ice fishermen to come haul me out of the snowbank in northern Canada. But I was allowed to escape from my vehicle
thank
and walk,
goodness.
a couple meters through 5 feet of snow to get to the main road, wave somebody down. So no, I don't miss that. It's like even being when we lived in like almost downtown Calgary, and typically my drive home would be like 10 to 15 minutes. And that one Friday it snowed and I was downtown. I'm like, hey, it's 2 p.m. I'll just leave downtown early and beat the rush. It still took 4 or 5 hours to drive 10 kilometers. And you're just, this is insane. I don't like being in major cities when there's snowstorm because you're gonna just get trapped. And then if you avoid any type of damage to your vehicle, it's amazing. So anyway, this is David, you had asked what if this is our first Christmas. You couldn't hear me before because I don't know what's going on with this laptop. I got Julie a new MacBook. I got to fix her old MacBook, and I'm moving myself to her other MacBook. But um, the reason we got the it's our second Christmas in the trailer, but the first one we had no vehicle because our truck we got they have a reasonably brand new Chevy heavy duty pickup truck. It's a 2022. So what is it? It's like 3 years old. Um, the transmission has failed on it. So that was what happened to we were stuck at Mr. Rittenauer's house in Indiana all of November last year. I think we waited 4 months for GM to replace the transmission. And now other things are just starting to fail on it. Like it's like, oh, this is great. We got a 3-year old vehicle. However, it's not technically out of warranty, and everything is starting to fail on it. So
Wow.
it's like, okay, I have to go start pricing out repairs because I love it, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. But I was told to stay away from Ford and Dodge because they have more issues when they approach warranty or the
I just
warranty's
don't think there's
expired.
anything to recommend since 2020. I just
So
don't think
this
that
is, this
there's
is this
much
is
of
what I'm doing
anything.
this week is like literally pricing out. I'm like, okay, my windshield wipers are not working yet. Well, they sort of work, but when we drove out to we can avoid snow, and that's fine because I would really rely on my windshield wiper fluids in like a snowstorm. So I'm glad I don't have to rely on them right now. But even driving in the rain in LA, it's a downpour, and I'm like, I can't like we've been stuck a couple times in the rain. I'm like, we can't see on the highway because the wiper blades, we have no control over the speed. And I was like, how do you fix wiper blades that no longer seem to wipe? So I've been watching YouTube videos and nobody really has an answer, but I think I'm just going to replace the whole turn signal. I'll make a video. So what I've been doing this week is fixing stuff and like okay and working now on getting myself in the mindset to say, hey, just record a bunch of different clips because even if they're garbage and I have to go back and redo them, at least I've got a bunch of footage to play with when I'm in the editing realm. Just because, when you go to record fixing things, you're like, I don't know if this is actually going to fix it or not, but I'm going to do a bunch of befores, afters, add in, if it does work, I'll add in some more commentary, and hopefully I've taken enough footage to make a video worth of viewing. So, um, but again, when you're fixing your own stuff, you're just like, okay, there's very little documentation from the manufacturer. I cannot find any through Google searches people have been, my same year truck. They're like, hey, I've got this issue with my wiper blades not really responding to the settings on the clicker. So um, the solution might be just to replace the whole thing for $50. And I'm like, hey, that's more cost effective than losing the ability to see and getting into an accident. So, but then I need brakes done. I need a bunch of stuff done on the truck. So it's like, do I learn how to do it myself just so I understand what type of question I have for a mechanic when I go into a mechanic shop? Because the worst feeling to have is Julie and I have experienced this before with other vehicles where you have an issue and you take it to the mechanic and the mechanic can't figure out what's wrong with it and they do some work and it never solves the problem. We had that issue with our Ford that we had years ago and it was like, okay, the only way to get things it seems the only way to get things fixed properly if you don't have the skills to do the labor yourself is to research the problem, research the solutions, and then take it in and say, hey, this is what is wrong. Here's what I think it is. What do you think it is? Am I correct, or are you going to charge me a bunch of hours of labor to chase a rabbit hole? So
Have you tried the master fuse for the
I
windshield
checked all
wiper?
the fuses because the wiper blade settings, the windshield wiper blade settings, are on the same thing as a turn signal, and the turn signals work, and it like all the buttons work on it except the rotating dial for the speeds for the washer fluid or for the wiper blade speed. And when I researched it, they're like, well, it's literally a computer module. So there's all these little computers and switches built into that turn to the clicker,
Mm-hmm.
and likely worn out and all you do is unscrew it, unplug it. It's like a computer that plugs into another computer, and it's like, well, a $50 part is cheaper than what any dealership's going to charge. My brake job at the GM dealers in Las Vegas is quoted at $1,400 to $1,500, and I know the parts are like 300. So they're charging 4 or 5 hours worth of labor on that. So I was like, hey, maybe I can probably go find some mechanic to do it for much less. So I don't mind. I don't mind paying for good work. I was just after an almost $3,000 bill for doing the exhaust brake on the truck. I'm like, I need to find somebody, not the dealership, to do the work. So
Let me ask my friend who used to
okay.
live in Vegas. I'll
Okay.
talk
Well,
to you
I
later.
found some local mechanics. Like we're an hour outside of Vegas right now. I found some local mechanics, but of course, Google Maps says they're open during Christmas and Boxing Day, and they're not open. So I'm waiting for a call back to find out about their for the brakes. I think that, anyway. So do a little bit of research before I talk to a mechanic just to figure out if I know what I'm talking about. So good morning. Oh wow, we're okay. Well, let's get I wanted to this week. I wanted to talk about motivation because I don't want to do the cliche. I don't want to do the cliche thing of um, New Year's resolutions, but of course, 2026 is around the corner, and we should talk about getting your motivation, getting your channel started, getting your content planned out. I was contacted by one of my private students this week because he's like, "Hey, are you gonna, do you want to come to Florida? Do you want to come to Florida the first week of January? I get all the, I'm speaking on the stage, and I got all these tickets." And I was like, "But what are you doing with your YouTube channel?" He's like, "I rather teach in person." And I'm like, "Well, it's great to teach in person. It's amazing to get on stages and teach in person. But when people go to look you up, what are they gonna find?" He's like, "You're right." And I'm like, "Well, I know I'm right, but I'm like, what if there's but I understand everybody's different. Everybody's got different learning styles. Everybody has different motivation styles, and it is not he likes doing live webinars, but then he was asking me for feedback on one of his webinars, and I was like, well, the challenge is like he talks about AI, like artificial intelligence, automation, sending emails. If you're on Facebook, you'll probably see him pop up from time to time. So um I've he's asked me if I wanted to hire him. I'm like, if I hire you, I want you to do all the work. I don't want you to give me a course because I'm like, I'm not going to follow that. If I find anything wrong with your instructions, I'm going to give you feedback. And if you're not somebody who can take feedback, then I don't want to spoil the relationship. I like the stuff you post on Facebook. You like what I post. If we're in the same city at the same time, we'll get together, have a coffee, and chat. But I'm like, he was doing well with his he was doing well he was doing well with his YouTube account. Like he posted a bunch of it, a handful of videos. Probably, I think he's at like 10 videos, something like that. Um, and he get over 1,000 subscribers without without even having to post it on Facebook or Instagram or getting organic traffic just because he followed my method. I sent him like I sent him a couple steps. I'm like, okay, do some research on vidIQ, make your script. He didn't use any AI video. It was him in front of the computer sharing his screen, and he's like, "This is what I do with Go High Level. This is what I do with sending cold emails. This is what my processes are." And in a very short period of time, he was able to attract over 1,000 subscribers. He's like, "Well, how do I become a YouTube partner like you, Mike?" And I'm like, you got over the 1,000 subscribers. That's your first step. Now you need to get over the 4,000 watch hours. And I'm like, it is doable with a small amount of videos. However, in order to accumulate a lot of watch time, you need to have said more track. I'm like, it's great. 1,000 subscribers is a great start. But if those 1,000 subscribers aren't consuming every single video in its entirety, you got to work on your watch time. You got to either promote more, um, edit the video so you've got more call to actions like subscribes, et cetera, et cetera. Like once you get the subscribers, you got to keep pushing the videos out because if you stop pushing the videos out, there's nothing to remind your subscribers to keep coming back and watching your channel because they're going to eventually realize after a couple of months that there's no new content. They're likely going to forget you unless you do a campaign or strategy to reactivate your subscriber base. So anyway, long story
There's
short, I'm
also
like,
been on
go
that
ahead.
side, sorry, Mike. YouTubers who have been quite successful, and when they drop off, they have a difficult time getting their traction of their videos again anyway. So YouTube also doesn't like you just disappearing. There's like a little bit, especially if you do become monetized, if you do take longer than like a little like a couple week break, your content may not be promoted as much and you may lose your momentum too on the back end, which is stuff that I've heard as well.
Yeah, and it's a learning experience, right? So I'm just like, we're run. I told him to just show up to these classes, and even if he doesn't want to come on camera, just listen because I realize he's a single individual. There's not, so he and I'm like everybody's got different learning styles, et cetera, et cetera. So of course he's trying to portray that he only likes teaching in a live format, like a live webinar or on stage. And it's like, well, as you build up your webinar audience, right? Because he has when I go show up to his webinars, like when he hosts things like this, he's got 20, 30, 40 people showing up. So I'm like, you're starting to gain traction. You're now landing in-person stage events, which is amazing. But all these people that you're meeting, they're gonna come and follow your stuff, and they're gonna go to your YouTube to say, "Hey, you start like this is like I watch his YouTube videos. I'm like they're amazing. So I'm like you should do more of this stuff." But then he's like, "Well, I'm not motivated. I want to do. He's running after the AI curve. Like he's like I just want to like do all these live webinars about all this new stuff in AI." And I'm like, "Yes, well, record it and put it up on you." So it's this funny struggle where people want to do something, but I'm like, how do you activate their motivation to say, okay, you're already doing this, just record them and put them up? So it's just, he came and asked for advice this week, and I'm like, the only thing I gave him feedback on his webinar stating that you seem to be jumping from topic to topic, which is a great example of what, you should record all this stuff and throw it up on YouTube just so people understand you're not one dimensional. You're going to talk about setting up Go High Level, sending out cold emails to strangers, um, AI, whatever else, whatever other things you're into, and you can build this audience based on all these different, you know, avenues. But my feedback was he's, jumped onto if any Julie and I have been building apps for our businesses, and there's a new way to do it called the vibe coding. And I know a lot of people are jumping onto this bandwagon, making their own apps, also getting frustrated by the platform. They're like promoting the platforms, but then getting frustrated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're documenting, they're documenting building their apps, and that's new content that they're making. But he was running this webinar. I gave him feedback, and I don't know if he. I don't think he took it. I don't think he took it as well as he should. He didn't take it the way he should have taken it because I said, okay, you're promoting business owners making apps. I've already been making my apps, so I understand limits in the system, frustrations, and marketing lies because everybody's going to tell you their system is the best, but until you use it and play with it and deploy an app, you don't really understand how many false narratives there are in marketing. So this is feedback I gave him on his. This is feedback I gave him because he's like, "Oh, he ended the webinar and then he's like, "Oh, I'm disappointed. I didn't have enough people sign up for my course." And my feedback was, I'm like, your your target market already understands all the holes in what you were just trying to promote because you want business owners like me to solve problems for other business owners by making apps for them. And you should just go make apps. You should go find a problem in a business and say, hey, this can be solved by an app. But the issue with building an app with all these vibe coding platforms that are out there, they suck. and you're going to be so frustrated unless you have experience in computer science and programming and understand how software is developed, like I do, because I've got a bachelor of science in computer information systems. You're not going to understand when you run into a problem, you're not going to understand how to solve that problem, and then you've wasted all this time and money utilizing a system because it's brand new and fancy, and everybody's promoting vibe coding, but there's so many platforms you can do it in, and so many holes. Like the support's not there. Like Julie can talk about her. Like we've talked about the app she's building, and we may have to move it to a different coding environment just because of all the holes she has punched in their support system, and they can't really solve for issues. And I'm like, this is the difference between promoting something and not knowing how it works, and then choosing to promote something because you can actually stand behind the promise that they're selling to people. So anyway, um, fun conversation with a student that came in saying, "Hey, I want to get back onto YouTube," and I'm like, "Hey, come to the classes so we can have a weekly Ask Me Anything. We can help support you with." Or guide you in trying to find that motivation to get back on the keep making content, or if you're making content or recording webinars, record it, throw it up on YouTube just so people can um learn from learn from things that you've been teaching, right? So this is why we record these classes, because if anybody asks me, well, what's a class like? I'm like, hey, we've got the recordings. Last week's recording hasn't gone up yet because it hasn't converted properly, and every time I open up Zoom asks me if I want to convert the last recording, and I click yes, and it gets to 40%, and Zoom crashes, and I have not the files there. I've not played with trying to fix it because I've been working on fixing too many other things this week. But I just want to let I have people come and ask me, how to get motivation to keep on going. I'm like, you've got to plan it out. And I know if you're a business owner, you're going to be playing with a bunch of things out there. And I'm like, you should just like even if it's bad video, even if you haven't documented all the steps, you should like say, okay, I'm gonna do before and after, even if it's just you talking about your steps, and maybe you haven't documented all of the steps properly with photos and video. It's just like building that story, building that narrative to share with people, because I told them, I'm like, hey, um, I can't give you a review of your work because you haven't done anything for me. Every time we interact, you try to sell me something, and I'm like, hey, um, I'm not really in the market for that, but I love what you're doing. I love, what you're educating people on, but I want the service done for me. I don't want to buy a course and then have to step through the steps through myself, because if the course is not well documented, I'm going to fall off and not continue. And I don't want to badmouth you, so we're just going to have this relationship. But I'm going to tell you that you ran this webinar and you're promoting vibe coding, and you're promoting the Lovable platform. And I know there's so many complaints about the Lovable platform that I cannot recommend people get. I can recommend people build their own apps for their business, but I've not found the perfect platform. And I've used a bunch of platforms, so I don't want to burst your bubble, but you're going to run into technical issues, and you need somebody like me who has experience in building software to say, hey, the reason you keep running into the same issue is you're trying to build something that their platform doesn't support yet. But that's my role as a tech person or as chief technology officer for business owners. I'll say, hey, you bought this system, and the reason it doesn't work is because you didn't do enough research, or the promise of the marketing was A, and what they're really supplying is not good enough. And but this is what happens with marketing and promotion: is a business, a product or service will be marketed a certain way, and you buy into that marketing, and then you as the end user is kind of you're pretty much used as a guinea pig to say, hey, this is the negative feedback we're getting back as the manufacturer. So version 1.2 or version 2 or version 3 is going to we're going to take all of the customer complaints and fix them on version 2 and version 3, and anybody with version 1 is just a beta tester, and they're going to have to live with it if they want to keep using our products. So anyway, yeah, no, it was a fun conversation this week. Getting an invite to Florida, and I'm like, I don't want to. I'm planning to go to Florida, but I haven't even gone through Texas yet, and I got a bunch of stuff to fix on my truck. So, um,
You need to come to Texas.
I know, but I wanted to be safe on the highway, and the suspension on the trailer's fixed. And now I spent a couple hours yesterday doing the cable and the slide out, and I want to do the truck brakes and fix the wiper blades. So if I can get that stuff, plus trying to find a place to ship a replacement MacBook screen. All my friends in I got one person who said, I got two people who said yes, but the first couple of people said no because obviously they're friends that I can meet for coffee, but they may not be friends where they'll give me their home address.
Well,
So,
you can ship it to my house.
well, I know, but I wanted to,
You wanted it sooner than
I
that.
wanted it fixed. This is why I literally, I took my wife to Best Buy on Christmas Eve or the 23rd of December. Yeah, we went to Best Buy to buy a new computer because I was like, it's too hard to get something shipped here because Amazon lockers, you can only ship tiny items. I can't ship a fuel filter for my truck. I can't ship the turn signal for my truck. None of that stuff's accepted by Amazon lockers. And
How
other
far
people
are
are like,
you from Reno?
call the post office and do this and do this. I'm like, that is too much work. I just want to go online and have an address to ship it to, and I'll go pick it up in a couple days. I'm not setting up a post office box in Las Vegas. I can ship it to Texas. I can ship it to Mississippi. I have an office in New Jersey, but that's way too far to drive to pick up a part. So,
How far are you from Reno? I have friends in Reno.
I don't know. I've never even heard of that town. Like,
Really?
I'd have to look it up on Google. I have not spent as much time in Nevada before either.
Mm.
So, but why? Las Vegas is super convenient, and this is why we're here. And, you know, it wasn't the goal for this winter. We had other plans, but we haven't even made it to the other plans because the truck took us like, well, the truck issue knocked us out for like a week and a half. And then we're like, hey, Vegas is convenient and it's warm. And there's those two things we did in LA. So I'm planning 2026 out. Planning 2026 out for YouTube channel. What are we going to teach in this class? Because we weren't sure who was going to be in the class, if they're going to show up for the weekly meetings, or if I had to have a once a month. I have a bunch of people I have private chats with once a month, and how man, like literally writing out their plan for the next month and what they're going to do, and see how well they execute on the plans that I build for them, right? Because at the end of the day, you've got yourself and your motivation. And if anybody's helping you with your channel, you're dealing with their personality, their motivation, whether or not they agree with my feedback or not. Because a lot of people use virtual assistants, and the virtual assistant will do it their way. And then I'm like, okay, you attempted, it got finished. Did it increase your subscribers? Maybe by a handful. Let's, add some more flair to your channel and change your thumbnail around, and let's plan out your content and um, what are your goals for your channel? Is it for visibility? Do you want it to drive traffic? Like exactly what do you want to do with it? Let's try something for 3, 6, 9 months and then measure it at the end of the year and see how far we've made with our planning, right? But if you're not making content, it's kind of hard to give you a plan. Or some people get stuck, or some people are repurposing their content from other platforms. They're taking their audio only podcasts off Spotify and Apple Music, and then they're uploading it to YouTube. It was like, well, it's audio, it's just, everybody's in a different stage with their content, and they know they want to level it up and make it fancy. And they're like, well, how do I do that? And I'm like, get behind that camera and turn the camera on and do both video and audio. I'm sure if you do more video, you're gonna get more subscribers and more watch time. Your diehards will always listen to the audio because that's the only thing we had access to like 10 years ago, 15 years ago with podcasts was audio only. But I tell them straight up, um, I'm not gonna my introduction to podcasts was probably like everybody else, where you had the Apple Podcast app and you heard advertisements of people saying, "Hey, go subscribe to my podcast." So for years while I drove before my daughter was born, let's say my listening has changed, right? So before my daughter was born, I just consumed a lot of talk show podcasts, whether that was Joe Rogan or Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels, like all those guys with podcasts, and everything was audio only for a long time. So I listened to a lot of audio only stuff. And then when your life changes and kids come around or grandkids come around or video comes around, my listening habits changed. So, um, and anything I previously listened to, I don't there's a ton of podcasters out there. Yeah, that's the proper term. That I used to listen to, and I don't listen to any of their stuff anymore. I'm probably still subscribed to their Apple Podcasts, and one of my devices is probably downloading all their podcasts in the background, but I don't listen to any of that stuff anymore. So things are going to change, and are you going to keep up with the times or just watch from a distance, right? So when business owners come and say, "Hey, I'm like, make video content because we can always, even if you don't post it, of course, I want you to post it, but I understand scheduling and motivation and um, comments are another factor of it. Understand, reading comments and understanding them and not taking them personal. Like there's all these aspects of podcasting or making a video and putting it up on YouTube and all these other places you got to factor in. It takes a lot of time, it takes motivation, it takes planning. Um, and then again, it's like, Mike, I'm doing all this stuff and nobody's watching. And my answer is keep doing it because, like anything, it's going to take you 10,000 hours to master the art of it and keep the motivation up to keep doing it, even if nobody's listening. Because the challenge is you're not going to go from zero. You're not going to go from one listener to 10,000 overnight. That's going to take 10 years or 3 years or 5 years or however quick you're able to ramp it up. The one student I was talking about, he went from 0 subscribers on YouTube to 1,000 in like 2 weeks. He's like, "This is great. All your tips work." I'm like, "My tips work because you're making video content and you're putting it up on YouTube, and there's enough people searching for you and for Go High Level and for email marketing. There's enough people searching for that stuff daily that you're finding it, and people like your personality. They like your brash, like they like everything about you." But you got to keep making the content because as soon as you fall off, you're going to be like, "Oh, wait, nobody's calling anymore. No one's calling anymore. Nobody's signing up for my webinar." I'm like, you got to just keep doing it and not expecting any payoff for the first year or 2 or 3 or whatever the case it is. But as you said, build it, build up your videos and make them consistent. Then um, you're gonna have an audience who shows up every single week, and then the more frequently you do it. But making videos is one thing. Hosting a live webinar is something different, and then speaking in person is completely different because I know you know, I've got some really interesting feedback from live stage things because, of course, you're there in the room with people and they either really appreciate you, they're either going to come up and shake your hand or hug you or have long conversations with you about fixing their computer or about YouTube or whatever people come up to talk to me about. Or you're gonna have people come up and talk to you and say the most horrible things to you. And you're like, wow, okay. It's one thing when it's a comment on your YouTube. It's another thing when it's a comment on like a webinar that you're hosting, and then it's a different experience in person when people's were, you'd think people would be nice in person, but it's almost like you get the extremes. And that's what my experience has been. Because you're like, oh, this is a safe room. People paid to be here. And then you're gonna have great feedback and hugs and high fives and then some real jerks. So and then that's how you learn who your audience is and what they want to hear from you in the future, right? And then exchange phone numbers and build up your audience that way. But anyway, this week's chat was about motivation. So, um, anybody willing to share what are you getting more motivated to make videos and plan out YouTube? Are you feeling stuck? Like, how can we help you in next, I'm assuming next Saturday is going to be January. I haven't looked at my calendar, but it's the 27th of December, so I'm assuming next Saturday is January already. So, um, how can Julie and I help you with making some progress on your YouTube channel? Kristen's got her hand up. Go ahead. I think you're still muted,
There we
but
go. I couldn't get the button to
I'm
come up. I'm on
squinting
my
at the
phone.
moment, so
So I want to say that showing up weekly to these classes, even though sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm not at the point of what we're talking about, has been really motivating. But also, I think the more I've done, the more motivated you get, because I almost feel, I don't know, I get this weird feeling right before I film now where it's like, I'm not like as harried, I'm not as nervous, I'm not like, I have to remember that it'll start to flow after a while versus, in the beginning, you're like, I have guests. Okay, do I have water? Do I have snacks for them? Do I, is all the camera stuff, is that going to be on time? And now I'm just like, oh, we start at 11? Okay, cool. And then I almost feel like, is there something wrong with me because I'm not freaking out? And then I realize I'm just getting more into a rhythm and a routine that it's more second nature. Does that make sense? Like I'm not as,
what 100
and that right there is more motivating.
yeah 100% because you're only gonna get like it's because you're comfortable now. Because I know we've chatted in the past about, as I've been told by people, my mentors on Hollywood, your first season is gonna suck. Your first 100 times being on camera is gonna suck. But as long as you keep on going, like we get older every single day, right? We're like, oh hey, look where I started. Like any self-help coach, not saying you need to subscribe to any of these people, but like Tony Robbins, Cardone, Andy Elliott, like a lot of them bring up nostalgia because in their feed they're going to show you, hey, look at look at the weirdo I was 20 years ago on video, right? Yeah. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing because I believed in myself, but I'm not around the right people. I'm not around the right support mechanisms. So everybody says I'm crazy. Why are you doing this? Why are you self-employed? Why are you trying to help people? And you're like, well, because I see a ton of people out there that need help. And I don't know if they need my help, but I'm going to show up with my bat, because you'll see people change, like their demeanor changes, their outfits. People go from wearing a suit to not wearing a suit. Like they just change because they're like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not like I'm gonna evolve, my content's gonna evolve, and my message is gonna evolve. This is what I tell people like, oh, how's the IT tech repair business? I'm like, it's been slow for a year because everybody is now using AI. They're like, hey, they feel empowered to go on Google or ChatGPT or this or this or this or this and search for their search up what they're looking for so they can understand better when they come to me and ask a question, because people don't like sounding stupid, and they want to do more and more research, and research tools now are so much um it's so much easier to find stuff now because ChatGPT is, like people are using ChatGPT as a counselor, so they're just talking to their phone all day, and like, oh, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, but I'm going to still bounce it off a human brain, right? So things change, and the more you do something, you're just going to get comfortable with it. So now you're a pro because you've record you had your other podcast before, and you know what being in a studio was like, and the wardrobe. You put yourself under a lot of pressure, right? And this diamond came out of it, and you're like, okay, I got this. I put myself through this. Plus, your pageant work in the past and all the other life experiences you have. You take all these experiences from all these different facets, parts of your life, and you're like, okay, I know what I want, but now I need to build the team or the crew or the following, or hey, I want to highlight Naples because this is my community, and I want to do this so that in a year, in 5 years, I'm going to have payback. Like, you're just planting the seeds, payback will come, right? Because you could sit there and do nothing, or it's like, I don't know what you. I know you. I know you're in real estate, but everybody's professions change, right? So it's like it goes from slow to busy to slow to busy to slow to busy to slow to busy, right? So I said, hey,
Yeah.
while my season right now with IT is slow, I'm gonna go. We got these YouTube skills. Like YouTube's like, hey, you're good enough to be in our partner program, and I'm like, geez, I've been sitting at like 2,000 subs, and I'm talking to people who've got 1 million subs. I'm like, well, hey, how did you get 1 million subs? And you talk to these guys and girls who have 1 million subs, and they're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know how I got 2 million subs. And I was like, well, you turned on the camera, you recorded your funky personality, and you threw it up into the world. And then you realize people will get to like 1 million or 2 million subs and be like, they don't even know what I'm doing. They don't know what they're doing, but because it was COVID, or because they live in LA, or because they document something weird happening in their neighbor, like it just there's certain little you there's just certain things that cause them to go viral and get to and then you're talking to them, then they're an introvert, they're not an outgoing person, right? They're like, but I can get behind the camera and make myself happy with what I recorded behind the camera. And even if nobody else likes it, I like it. But I'm like, there's going to be other people who like it. You just have to, you don't know where your audience is. And that's why I say, hey, record it, throw it up on YouTube, throw it up on Facebook, throw it up everywhere, and just see. Don't worry about the reactions tomorrow, but like after 30 days, 60 days, go and look at what the, you know, likes in the like just go look at where the audience is sitting and just keep making, there's a lot of stuff I post that gets nothing, and then other things I'm like, okay, that just got 2,000 views, 3,000 views. So you like AI videos of me rather than my own face, that's noted. So I'm like so i'm like okay, let's try a couple different things and measure the feedback, and then I'll just go forward with that. But then I have people who come, like, literally this week, drop it in my DMs to say, hey, do you want to meet me in Florida next week? And I was like, if you would have given me more than a week's notice, maybe I would have planned for it. They're like, oh, here's who else is in the room. And I'm like, well, I'm like, really, you should have just told me 2, 3 weeks ago because I could have planned that out. And then I'm like, what are you doing with your YouTube channel, mister? And they're like, we're not working on it. It's like, well, you should be working on it, because if you're hustling your ass off and dropping into DMs with people who have events and throw events and plan events, and you're getting in on their stage in flesh, you should make sure your content is, at least posting something once a week, or because people are gonna once once things start working out for you, you want to make sure that you show up, right? And your stuff's not, it's okay if it's like a video every couple of weeks, but if somebody looks and they're like, "Hey, you haven't posted anything in 6 months, what are you doing?" And you're like, "I got lazy or I got unmotivated." I'll just tell people, I'm like, "I'm doing other things with them." But thank you. Now that I know you're looking for me, I feel bad and I should go update my content, right? But no, you feel comfortable, and that's why you're not worried about it because you've got a plan, you got a vision, and you're executing on it, right? So just don't get too worked up about what the results are going to be because we don't know what the results are going to be, and you can't really judge them for like a year.
Well, that's the way I looked at it because this is, and it's also very like there's niche and then there's niche down. And because it's not only Naples, but the history, the people of the history, it's
Yeah.
so niche that I'm looking at it. It's kind of like when you do your personal Instagram page. Your friends and family are going to see it, but you don't know if anybody else is going to care.
Well, and this is that it was great because there's some creators who will break down every platform for you, and it's like literally, you know, Instagram is pretty photos, and that's what it is. So if you're obsessed with your pretty photos and you like posting pretty photos, you're gonna do well. No, I cross post to it, but it's not my preferred thing because I've lost so many Instagram accounts just because of so I was like, and I don't know. I have some. I'm like I'm not playing by the rules. I'm not posting pretty photos with filters on them. So I've lost like 4 Instagram accounts. But it's like okay. But when people ask me what my like, I'll go to YouTube events and people don't want your LinkedIn. They will follow you on YouTube, but they want to know what your Instagram is. And I'm like, it's the same as the business name. I'm like, here it is. They're like, oh wow, you post so much and you got like 400 followers. I'm like, I know it's not my jam. That's okay. It's okay. I'm like, it's not, we're not running a multi-million-dollar business. Like people I have people think we're doing multi-millions of dollars. I'm like, if I was doing multi-million dollars, you'd see somebody else doing my social media. Where that's the goal in the future, but that's not currently the I'm living in an RV in USA. If I had millions of dollars, you'd be seeing a lot of video and a lot of photos from some swanky hotels. Right? It's not my current lifestyle at the moment. We'll get there, but I gotta make sure my brand can handle, it that it's, I gotta expose myself to bigger markets. So that actually operate in the winter time. Canada kind of shuts down for 5, 6 months in the winter. We learned that, and we're like, okay, we got to move onto bigger markets, but you need to build your audience. If you want to go do business in another city, you got to build an audience because if people don't know who you are, they're not going to trust you and they're not going to hire you. Right? So it's like you got to go to cities, meet new people. I got to come to Texas and hang out with Darlene, and we should really plan. If I come to Texas, we should really plan to do some type of in-person event. But my birthday's over now, so I'm less depressed. I was like right before my birthday, I was like, mentality was not quite there. I'm like, okay, it's New Year's now. Let's plan out what I'm going to do for 2026. Why aren't you giving me more than a week's notice to come to Florida? Come on.
I
But
have an event a lady wants you to come to.
I'm sorry.
I have an event for you.
Okay, okay. Like I said, we're planning to move. We didn't realize we were going to have like 3, 4, 5 grand of truck repairs in November. So that's fun to. I'm like, how can I budget? I'm not. This is not my city. This is not my native currency, the U.S. dollar. So I got to figure out how to pay for all this stuff and not get ripped off, and make sure the quality of repairs is really good. Because nobody wants to get on the highway and have a problem. Because that's what happened to us when we were staying at Mr. Rittenauer's house last no last when we went for Halloween last year. We showed up in Indiana and we couldn't leave Indiana, and we broke down an hour away from his house, and that took 12 hours to get a tow truck. Outside of Chicago, 12 hours to get a tow truck on October 31st. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. It's not even snowing out. So
What kind of truck do you have?
I've got a Chevy 3500 heavy duty diesel.
Oh, okay. A Chevy.
No,
Okay.
it's Chevy.
Is
It
it
just
a
depends. It just
Duramax?
depends. I'm sorry?
Is it the Duramax?
It is 100% the Duramax. The big Duramax, the 6.6 liter.
Yep.
So doesn't matter how much you spend on a truck. They're all designed to fail.
Okay. I'm a Ford lover, but
I've had too many for I've heard too. When I went to buy my truck, there was 0 recalls on my truck, and there was 150 on the Ford F-250 and F-350 platform. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy a $100,000 truck that already has active recalls. They may fix them, that's fine, but it was also way more expensive. And I was like, I'm good with a $95,000 truck. I'm not spending 130, 140,000 on a truck. It's just ugh. Most expensive vehicle to date. Our Jeep, which was 80 grand, only lasted like 4 months before it decided to burn itself to the down on the highway. So I was like, okay, we're in post-COVID times, and what is the actual quality of people, relationships, appliances, vehicles, vibe coding like all these new things that come out. You're like, what really is? I like stuff that's built well. I like people who are honest, relationships that are solid. I don't like anybody talking bad about, like, I run into this all the time where somebody's like, oh, this person's not talking to you because of this, and I'm like, and they can't talk to me, they can't call me. If I got a problem with somebody, I'm gonna tell them to their face, or at least call them or text them. But anyway, this is the fun thing of
100%.
this is the fun thing with life, right? So, people come and say, how can, I'm stuck with my video content. And like, when's the last time you filmed? You should really be, I don't air everything. I'm literally outside. I fell off the wagon with the YouTube lives. I'll be honest with that, because YouTube tells me 9 a.m. Pacific every day is my best time for posting lives. And I'm like, I've not been doing it all week, but it's like, okay, January 1st is coming around. I should retry, jump back on that big. And I record stuff every single day on the camera, but um, a lot of it, I'm like, I'd have to throw it in. I went and found a new editor. So, Darlene, you asked me this. You asked me about this a couple weeks ago, and I didn't really like a lot of the video editors out there. But I downloaded one on my iPhone when we were in LA like 2 weeks ago, and I've used it for a couple things. But what I found, I liked it because it didn't have any ads until you go to save your movie, and then it's a video ad while you're exporting. And I was like, okay. So I've made a couple. Um, I think I had posted that Julie and Penelope had done like a Christmas gift exchange. I haven't posted it on YouTube yet, but I did it on Facebook to just see how many reactions I would get. I used that video editor on my phone, and it wasn't too annoying to use, but I'm like, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it to make a couple videos and then make a review of it, because like I've used CapCut. Penelope likes CapCut. I don't like CapCut
I don't like
whatsoever.
CapCut.
I don't like CapCut, whatever. And iMovie on the iPhone, I hate it because it was good 15 years ago. Then Apple changed the layout, and I understood how it worked, and now I don't understand how it works. And I'm like, I don't feel like retraining my brain. I just like something that's.
I want something simple. CapCut to me is too tech.
I know, and this is why I don't like suggesting certain thing. I'd be like,
Hmm.
hey, shoot video and edit it. I don't want to suggest any tools, because if I suggest a tool and you hate it, I'm gonna feel bad for suggesting it, right? So,
Well, then I'll just tell you I don't like it and give me something else.
this is why, when we've had other people jump on and they're like, well, I use this and I use this. I'm like, you need to find a tool you like using. Some
Hmm.
people don't like shooting video with their phone. So I'm like, hey, just get a DSLR, go get a fancy camera, go get a tripod, and and record. Like, find the tools you like using to get the job done. And not everybody's gonna like every piece of software or every piece of hardware or like all your videos, but the act of testing it testing it and doing it every single day, you got to build up that confidence and um, just make content and then post it out there and see who enjoys it. People like how-tos or, or before and afters or your experience with something, because a lot of people are shopping around for products or software or a new way to do like take cooking for example. You're usually trained on how to make something one particular way, but you can always substitute out ingredients for something else, and it's gonna change the taste or change the cooking time, or it's gonna change your creation a little bit because everything at the end of the day is math and science. But it's just like play. I love homemade eggnog. I know a lot of people don't like eggnog. I grew up on store-bought eggnog, and I thought that was amazing until I tasted homemade eggnog, and I'm like, I can't drink store-bought eggnog anymore, knowing how many ingredients they put in it, where homemade is so few ingredients, and you can make whatever size batch you want, right? And you're not paying $7, $8, $9 for a jug of it. You're like, okay, I got some eggs and I got some sugar and I got some rum and I got some vanilla, like real and nutmeg, like so few ingredients used to make eggnog. So, but every single recipe is different and it's gonna make it taste different. And my wife making eggnog is a different consistency than me making it, right? But it's like, okay, and we're not even using the same recipe every single year. We're just randomly going up on Google or ChatGPT and pulling down a recipe. We're like, hey, this is similar but different. Well, how's it? And the way she made it the other day, I was like, okay, this is super thick like a milkshake. It's amazing. It's not runny. It's not watery. It's my version yesterday wasn't the same, but I may have skipped a couple ingredients because I just wanted to drink it, and I was like, okay, I'm just not. It's
You
late
were
at night,
so unimpressed
and
with your own eggnog. You didn't even offer any to me. He was so unimpressed and embarrassed
I
by
because I
it.
drank, I was unimpressed with it, and I'm like, but it still tastes good, and my wife was working on her app and I wasn't sure if she was in a good mood with vibe coding or not because I thought it would solve her issues for her app and then she's been arguing with it. So I was like, you know. Anyway, class is technically over. So for next week, it's January. Just if you're kind of stuck with your YouTube, you haven't started, just this Saturday classes ask me anything. I'd be going into a lot of theory, but since no one's really making any content, I'm like, I don't want to teach theory and show you stuff in YouTube unless you're actually going to be applying it because usually with information, it goes in one ear and goes out the other unless you're actually working in YouTube every single week, uploading content, adding your screenshots, adding your titles, your description, looking for keywords. You know, all we really need to do to get you started is go into vidIQ or go into one of these tools that shows you what people are searching for in your niche on YouTube. What are the most and start borrowing from other creators in your niche and just learning what other people are doing and how long it took them to get from one subscriber to whatever amount of subscribers are at right now. The main way to win is to actually make videos every single week and upload them and just see what or over the course of a couple months see what type of traction you're getting and then repeating your successes. So videos that do well, do more of them. The ones that don't do well, leave them there or just give them better titles and better descriptions or add more keywords to them because somebody's going to find them in the future and appreciate the videos. It's just not going to be some videos are just not going to have overnight success or success in the short term. It's going to be more long term, but that's the whole reason we're building up your YouTube video catalog is um build up that know like and trust with your audience You may not have an audience yet, or you may be in the start of building one or starting a new one, because we find that with our businesses is that my audience from Canada is not the same audience I used to have, because a lot of people don't like the fact that I travel or that I switched my business in 2021. I went from one brand name to another. So I've had some people follow me from the old business, and other people just drop me like I don't exist anymore because I started a brand new business in August 2021, and we're 4 years into a new business, and a lot of people hold grudges I didn't stay with the old business, but it was time to move on. So I lost that audience, and I've had to build up a new one, right? Anyway, thank you for showing up, and we will see you. Have a happy new year. It will be 2026 when we talk to you again. And if you have any questions, either go post them in the Facebook group or write them down and ask us the next Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we'll talk to you next week. And I'm going to go back to bed.
Have a great new year.
Have a great new year.
Bye.
Where is... Yeah, I know. I need to call you, Darlene. Not
Yes.
ignoring you. Just like I need to get, yeah, I need to get a couple things fixed, and yeah, get over Christmas. And now we're over Christmas, so
Yeah. So my girlfriend that owns, well, she runs the office for the home builders here.
yes.
They are looking for a speaker.
Okay.
And Jennifer said she would speak on AI yesterday about
Okay.
how they could use AI. So what could you speak on?
Well, there's a lot of things. We can talk
Do we
about.
want to record this? Maybe not.
I'll turn the recording off.